Far beyond the tallest mountains, where mist rolled gently across emerald valleys, lay a forest called the Valley of Whispering Pines. Every morning, golden sunlight spilled through the towering trees, and the wind rustled the pine needles, creating a soft, whispering song. Clear rivers sparkled like ribbons of glass, and wildflowers painted the meadows in vibrant shades of violet, gold, and crimson. Butterflies drifted lazily through the warm air, and beneath one ancient pine tree lived a small silver fox named Lumi. His fur shimmered like moonlight, and his bright, curious eyes always seemed to be searching the sky. Every night, when the world grew quiet, Lumi would climb a smooth gray rock beside the river and stare up at the stars. Thousands of tiny lights sparkled across the dark sky, looking like little lanterns hanging in the heavens. And deep in his heart, Lumi had a dream. One quiet evening, as fireflies danced over the river, Lumi whispered to himself, what would it feel like to touch a star? He imagined standing on the highest mountain, stretching his paw into the sky, and holding a glowing star in his tiny paw. But then he looked around at the tall forest and distant mountains. They seemed enormous. Lumi's ears drooped. I'm just a little fox, he sighed. How could I ever reach the stars? Yet the dream stayed in his heart, glowing softly like a hidden spark. One morning, Lumi climbed the tallest hill in the valley. From there, he saw something that made his eyes widen. Far away, beyond the forest and rivers, stood the great Sky Mountain. Its snowy peak stretched so high it nearly touched the clouds. If I could climb that mountain, Lumi whispered, maybe I could reach the stars. But the journey looked long and frightening. Dark forests, rushing rivers, and towering cliffs stood between him and the mountain. The wind blew stronger at that height, and Lumi felt his paws tremble. Maybe it's impossible. ... But when night came and the stars returned, they shimmered brighter than ever. And Lumi knew he had to try. At sunrise, Lumi began his journey. The forest slowly changed as he traveled. First came the golden meadows, where tall grass swayed like waves in the wind. Then he crossed the crystal river, hopping carefully across slippery stones while the water rushed below. Later, he entered the misty woods, where sunlight filtered through silver fog and glowing mushrooms lit the forest floor. As days passed, the mountain grew larger and larger. Its snowy peak gleamed like a crown above the clouds, but the path grew harder too. Steeper hills, colder winds, and sometimes lonely nights. One afternoon, Lumi tried to climb a steep, rocky cliff, but his paws slipped. Pebbles tumbled down the slope, and Lumi slid all the way back to the bottom. Another day, he tried to cross a rushing river. The current was too strong, and he had to scramble back to shore, his fur soaked and his spirit low. That night, Lumi curled beneath a tree as rain fell softly around him. Maybe I was wrong to try, he murmured sadly. The mountains still stood far away, and the stars felt farther than ever. But deep inside, the tiny spark of his dream still glowed. The next morning, Lumi met a wise old owl named Orion, perched on a tall branch. Orion watched him with bright, golden eyes. Why does a little fox travel so far? The owl asked. Lumi looked down shyly. I want to reach the stars. The owl hooted softly. Big dreams require small, brave steps, he said wisely. Later, Lumi met a cheerful river otter named Mira. She showed him how to float with the current and cross the river safely. And in the snowy hills, a strong mountain goat named Torin taught him how to place his paws carefully on narrow, icy ledges. With each new friend, Lumi grew a little stronger and a little braver. At last, Lumi reached the base of Great Sky Mountain. The peak disappeared into swirling clouds. Snow fell gently through the icy wind. The climb was steep and dangerous. Halfway up, a fierce storm arrived. Thunder rumbled across the sky. The wind howled like 1,000 wolves. Snow swirled so thick Lumi could barely see. He slipped on the ice and nearly fell. Fear filled his heart. "I can't do this," he cried, his voice lost in the wind. Just then, through a small break in the storm clouds, Lumi saw something. A single, bright star shining above the mountain. It glowed warmly through the darkness, a beacon of hope. Lumi remembered every step of his journey. The meadows, the river, the friends who helped him, the lessons he had learned. He took a deep, shaky breath. "I'm not just a little fox anymore," he whispered to the storm. "I'm a fox who didn't give up." And slowly, carefully, he started to climb again, one paw after another. At last, Lumi reached the summit. The storm cleared as if by magic. The sky opened into a vast, silent ocean of stars. They glittered brighter and closer than he had ever imagined. Lumi stood at the peak, the world stretching far below him. He raised his paw toward the sky. Just then, a shooting star streaked across the heavens. For one magical moment, its golden light brushed gently across Lumi's paw. It was warm, bright, wonderful. Lumi laughed with pure joy. He hadn't captured a star, but he had touched its light. When Lumi returned to the valley, the forest welcomed him home. The river sparkled, the fireflies danced, and every night, Lumi still sat on his favorite rock beneath the pine tree. But now, when he looked at the stars, he smiled because he knew something important. The stars were never just in the sky. They were also inside the courage of anyone who dares to follow a dream. And somewhere high above the Valley of Whispering Pines,